what I'm thinking is, once we do the police department, then I read a motion to adopt the balance of the budget for this amount.
There's no pen. I'm hoping it'll make it easier to take notes. Because I may take them that way.
Oh, is that a?
Yeah, there's not enough room that
And we vote on that, and then
And
you're.
then should I do this one?
Well, we
The
shouldn't.
resolution
Basically, all we've got
13,
public hearing on the
resolves for the
yeah.
7,361,251.
Right.
library.
right?
Right, yes.
And then I'm done.
Scott's gonna speak on that, and then
We spent 2.5
everything else
hours on it.
is, looks like it's pretty full and straightforward.
And then we have those minutes.
This person is gonna be here tonight.
Now you can see it.
This was in your box, I just wanted to make sure you had it before we
Thank you.
started. And you offered them the, that they
Oh,
could.
so we should keep you here until midnight?
Yeah, legal counsel canceled the last meeting. So I don't think
Can you split it up for me?
Question.
Probably couldn't,
Where are you going? Where's she going?
Go to Okinawa,
unless, yeah.
see your assistant.
State statutes.
You're like the third person I talked to in a week who's going to Japan.
So stay with just this one.
And they just had an earthquake.
So I'll make it.
Thanks, Roger.
Just a small one off the East Coast.
Oh, okay.
Good timing, Roger.
Just north of Okinawa, so it'll vibrate down.
Everybody's got phones off? No.
Vern's not here?
Just so I know when you're ready, just let Jeff prompt me for next item, then I'll keep.
Okay. I'll try to do my best. Okay, we'll call this meeting to order and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a meeting May 15th, 2000.
The roll call, Twyla.
Yes. Counselor Bowie?
Here.
Counselor Bickford?
Yeah.
Counselor Ward?
Here.
Counselor Pomelo?
Here.
Counselor La Rochelle is excused. Counselor Mason?
Here.
Counselor Lunt?
Here.
Next item.
Is under public hearing, vitriol's license for Vera Abdullah, doing business as Taste of Little Russia.
We'll open the public hearing for the victualer's license for Vera Abdullah, doing business as Taste of Little Russia. Any public hearing comments? Seeing none, we'll close that part of it. Next item.
Is a public hearing for the proposed CDBG Public Service Grant application.
And we'll start with letting Scott go up and give a little history behind this.
Good evening, Council. Good to see you again, as always. We're here as part of a required public hearing for a proposed grant application that we want to submit this week. To that end, you folks at home, or out here in the audience, I should say, you folks at home, if you want to come in, you can do that too. I'm going to pass around a clipboard. If you could just sign and indicate that you were here and part of this hearing, it would be helpful, and I'll pass that around here in a minute. And Council, I could use your help on that as well. Very quickly, we are hopeful to submit a grant application to the Maine Community Development Block Grant Program this Friday, a public service grant application. It is to apply for a sum of $20,000 from that program. The purpose of the application is to address an emerging need at our local library. Very quickly, more and more people, particularly during this economic downturn, but particularly in the past couple of years, more and more people are going to their local library in search of job and career services. This creates an issue at the library in that we have very limited technology there. We have 3 desktop computers. And our library staff is not necessarily trained for the purpose of delivering career and job application assistance and that sort of thing, career services. This creates an issue for the library staff because because they're servers. They're there and they do their work because they want to help the public. But yet they're being pushed into a situation that they're not well suited to do. So we lack some capacity there. And again, we lack some capacity on the technology piece. We have 3 desktop computers. Folks use those computers maybe to, do the genealogy stuff that's been popular lately, or just to go on Facebook or to send an email back home or whatever it may be. Those same people are competing for those limited computers with folks who are coming in trying to get a job, trying to change a career. Those two things, while everybody tries to work together down there, those two things are in conflict. And if I'm sitting and doing a job application or trying to do a resume or something like that, that's generally going to take me a lot longer to do than it's going to take you to maybe send an email. And so these things, again, continue to cause a conflict. So the library patron who's just coming in to use the library computers for those purposes, they're not getting what they want. The library staff is being pushed in directions that they're not comfortable and well suited to respond to, and so they're not getting really what they want either. And then most importantly, the job seeker is not getting what they need. And what's not known to many of them is there is an existing workforce development network out there, all kinds of different agencies that provide services to the public, folks who are looking to change careers or get new jobs. The problem is that they're going to the library. They're not going to these institutions that we've talked about, which are often out in the industrial park somewhere, and the library rather is on Main Street. It's a familiar and comfortable place, so they're going there. The problem is that creates a disconnect. There's more services, more intensive services out there, and the library, depending on who happens to be on staff, it really is up to the individual whether there's a real good solid referral. Oh, you want help doing this? You could go here. So that there's some, that we lack some basic capacity. So our proposed solution is to create a job career service at the library. And that job career service would provide additional technology, would provide additional direct one-on-one assistance to folks when they need it, and would create a series of workshops that would go on. We plan 4 in the first year. Would attempt to go on about at that pace in the coming years, and also create a greater connection between the job seeker and the existing workforce development. So it's a system out there that I spoke about. So it's a bridge between those two things as well. The financial impact, we're going to, as I say, apply for $20,000. That $5,000 of that would go to the purchase of 4 laptop computers. And those laptops would work with our existing Wi-Fi system at the library. So the folks would be able to get to the internet. We'd have the traditional Microsoft Office style, the type of software we all have at our desks, and so any other associated software that might be helpful in this regard. The remainder of that $20,000, $15,000 would go to the engagement of consultant services for a period of 1 year, and this is really, really critical. Right now, with our existing staff, with me, Diane, with the library staff, we can't accommodate the need that's being expressed by those folks. What we need is that sort of person there on the site who has working knowledge of many of the type of assistance delivery, the delivery of the type of assistance we're talking about, and has direct working knowledge of the workforce development system. And what that consultant will do in the period of a year will deliver that direct one-on-one assistance and on a scheduled basis at the library. He or she will work with the existing library staff to increase their knowledge about the existing workforce development system and how to make good referrals. And then, most importantly, the consultant will work within that existing economic development and workforce development system to bring workshops to our local library and create greater linkages between the job seekers and those existing resources that the state, the feds, all of us work hard to put in place. The impact on the town. We, as you know, with community development block grants, we're required to make a match to the grant award. In this case, it's 20% of the grant award. However, it can either be a cash or in-kind match. The in-kind match is the investment you've already made in your library as you work through your budget process now. As you look into FY 12-13, you're contemplating keeping the lights on, you're contemplating keeping the heat on, you're contemplating keeping that Wi-Fi working, and keeping the staff the way where they are. That, in effect, is your match to this grant. And basically, I developed a formula which says, look, if we do this program, I'm going to just estimate that would represent 5% of the library's total budget, operations, payroll, buildings, you name it. So I just assigned that sort of percentage just as a guesstimate. And so, we're looking at a total project cost under that sort of modeling of about $27,000 or so, $28,000 for the coming year, 20 of it which would be provided by this grant if we're successful. So I do want to mention a couple of folks. My dear friend Diane, who came to me several months ago with this, saying, geez, we got this problem at the library, and what do you think we should do, and can we get computers and stuff, and has continued to work with me and have me over there, and is being very patient with me as we try to develop a solution to this problem. Another individual, Jim Baumer. Jim's a Lisbon native. His folks still live here, and I had a great chance to meet with them recently, and they're patrons of the library. Jim's an author, wrote the Moxie book just recently that you probably heard about, and most relevantly, Jim works in the workforce development field, and we've worked together several times in the past. And I turned to Jim early on and said, hey, we got this problem here, and what do you know about this? And Jim, obviously, he's on top of this kind of stuff, and it's part of what he does. And he advised me that this is happening all over the country. People are going more and more to libraries for these reasons. And so Jim has helped shape some of the solutions to these, as well as the governing board at the library, as well as some folks we had in for a meeting recently. And most importantly, I'll mention, we did an informal survey. Back when we decided we were going to do this, or try to do it, we did an informal survey at the library. And everybody that came in and said, we want to use a computer, we gave them a thing. Would you use these services? And it was overwhelming that they would use them. And we even asked, because CDBG is really related or driven by income. It's driven by serving the low and moderate income portions of our population. So we did. We asked in a confidential manner, where do you fall on this income scale? 16 of the 20 people who responded over 29 days at the library in the month of February met the low to moderate income range. So that means that if we put this project in and we are successful, we will be serving the people this money was put here to serve. And we'll be doing it in a new and innovative way. So that's just the context for this application. So obviously this is about comment from the public. I do have this sign-in sheet, so I'm just going to start passing it amongst you. If you wouldn't mind just writing down your name, it would be very helpful to the application.
Do folks from the public have comments or questions they'd like to make during the public hearing part? Please come up to the microphone.
Debbie Berry, 21 Huey Street, Lisbon Falls, Maine. I just heard the presentation that an additional expansion of government of $20,000 for grant money, for taxpayers' money, is being requested, an additional, I guess, $8,000 of town tax money. for considering helping and assisting people with filling out online job applications that we as taxpayers pay to the state for programs, to the county for programs, to the town for programs, through public education, that in school there's guidance counselors, and the adult education even gives information on how to do your job applications and resume. I'm not in favor of this type of grant money. We don't have it. The economy cannot tolerate another additional expansion of government. Thank you.
Other folks from the public would like to comment on that? Council? Mike?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on what the lady just said. I don't want people to get confused based on what Scott said. This is not additional taxpayer dollars. The grant money that we're asking for here comes from the CDBG, and it's funds coming to us. It's not required for us to raise those out of taxation. And the $7,500 of in-kind services is already the base budget that we already have for the library. So there's no additional new funds being asked for out of this grant.
They're not asking it from the town. It's the town asking for the grant.
Correct.
Right.
May I respond, Mr. Bowie, if that's all right? The grant money is not on a money tree. The grant money is taxpayers' money. The government agency that does these applications is funded by taxpayer money. The money that the town would receive is taxpayer money. These services that is being requested is already provided through public schools, through state agencies, through county agencies, through town resources, that there's guidance counselors in school. We as taxpayers are already paying for services that there shouldn't be a question. If an individual wants to fill out a job application or get information, they should already have the skill sets to be able to do this without an individual sitting at the library waiting in 20 people in 30 days of the 16 filled out the application saying it'd be great to have these services. So the one person for $28,000 is going to sit there for 16 people for 30 days? That's not a good return on investment. But the grant money is taxpayer money. It's not make-believe. It's real money our children have to pay for. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments?
I have a question for Scott. I understand the $15,000 in consulting services, part of the budget, and you explain that as an on-site person to assist as a consultant and maybe train other people. Is this person a separate person from the library staff, or is
Yes.
it possible that it's?
Yes, thank you for the question. It would be an independent consultant.
Okay.
Working, in this case, for the town on this particular project. That person would deliver on-site assistance, yes. That person would deliver, training, particularly in referrals with our existing library staff. What's most important is that person is also working to bring other resources. And it's correct, there are existing resources out there. What's also correct is, in many cases, folks aren't getting to those services. They're turning to their library, and that's the response. That's why we're doing it. But my point here is not to replace those services or duplicate those services out there, but it's to build a bridge between where the people are going for these services and where the services are. So what I'm saying in terms of that is that the consultant really, again, with the direct assistance, with the training for the library, and then the helping to build that network, bring those providers from the Maine Career Centers, from Maine Women Working Community, and from other agencies like that. There's a great program called Work Ready. Bring those folks who deliver those programs to give, for example, workshops at the library. So, and that, in my mind, that we'll then be able to remove some of the institutional stigma with some of those organizations. Obviously, they're going to the library because it's a friendly place. It's a place they know and they're familiar with. They know the people who work there. It's a much different thing to go to an industrial park way on the other end of Lewiston. And the fact is, they're not going there, they're coming here. So, again, I'm going off topic a little bit, but really that three-legged stool as far as the consultant is that direct assistance, it's the training, but it's also building that network that's going to result in the delivery of services here in Lisbon, and most especially the referral to the job seekers for those resources that are great resources that already exist.
May I ask a really brief follow-up
Yes.
question? How many hours per week do you think that new person, that new consultant would be able to spend at the library?
I'm thinking probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 8. Having been a consultant myself and understanding, hourly billing rates and that kind of thing, I'm thinking probably 8. But those are 8 more hours than we have right now, and eight more hours of a different sort of expanded capacity that we don't have right now. But, it's hard to say, I will be here on Friday at 8 and I will leave at this, particularly in a consultant world, that those 8 hours may be broken up in different ways in different times.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Other questions from council? Any other questions from public? Seeing none, we'll close that public hearing. Sorry. Go ahead, Dot.
Hi, Dorothy Fitzgerald, resident of Lisbon Falls on School Street. The ladies at the library are always asked to do more with less. They do a great job down there, and I support the program. Because there are a lot of people that are out of jobs and really need jobs. I'm kind of wondering, the 16 people that would use it, I'm hoping they're not taxpayers, because if the town council has its way, the taxes are going to go up any more than they already are. My big concern is, okay, this is a grant for new computers, laptops for the library. Great. $15,000 for a consultant. Are you going to be asking $15,000 next year, the year after, the year after, the year after? You hire somebody and you never can get rid of them.
Thank you, Dot.
I'd just like to offer a little bit. I want to be clear about I know I spit out a few numbers there, and apparently, because I haven't heard anybody yet who really understood what I was saying. My fault. 20 people responded to that survey over 29 days. 20 people, that means 20 people, not 16, signed up to use those computers for job-related searches, application development, resume. My point about the 16 folks was 16 of the 20 who signed up for the service were of low and moderate income status. And why that's important is that this is where this money is intended to help. To those folks, low and moderate income status. In regards to Mrs. Fitzgerald's question regarding ongoing, I mean, obviously, if we were writing a grant here that was going to leave the library with what I'm calling an economic footprint going forward, in other words, oh, I'm great, I wrote this great grant, and yay, Scott, and yay, Diane, but then next year the library has to come in and say, oh, by the way, now we have these additional expenses. We wouldn't be doing this. The whole idea of this was to a one-time grant expense during this upcoming year so that that consultant could work through the process and create the capacity that we don't currently have, so that when that consultant is no longer employed by the town, 1 year, or employed through the CDBG grant, that the library staff will have that added capacity that they don't have now, so that they can continue to deliver these services. And the networks, which don't exist now, will exist then. And so you won't necessarily need the consultant to say, hey, women work in community, how about doing a resume workshop? We'll already be in the pattern of doing those, and it will be a much easier task for Diane, for example, to pick up the phone and say, we are doing this workshop this Wednesday, and yes, we are, and we'll have created something that can be much easier in terms of maintenance going forward. There is no intention to have any economic footprint, in my mind, after this first year of the grant. Well, yes, we'll have some computers, and if there happens to something happen to one of those computers, then yes, the town will be responsible for fixing that computer or buying that, doing that, having our computer consultant, remove the bug or whatever the issue is. Yes, but, correct, warranties as well. But in terms of the consultant services, that's a one-time deal.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from council, from public? Okay, we'll close that public hearing. Okay.
I just have a couple comments to make, Marion Morgan, Lisbon Falls. Why does the town of Lisbon need to be in this sort of business, setting up this program? There's a wonderful program in Lewiston. There are programs all around the state, a state function. Does Lisbon really have the extra dollars for this? Is this something we need to bring into the town? We have bus services if somebody cannot get up to Mollison Way or wherever. And I see Mr. James Baumer here, who goes all over to give his expertise in workshops, whatever. Is this really something in this economic time that Lisbon wants to get into? Maybe Mr. Benson really needs to concentrate on getting jobs, stop the businesses from leaving, get jobs. People need jobs. You can have all the computers, all the expertise in the world, but if those jobs aren't there, then what? I think this is ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, Twyla.
Is under audience participation. At this time, those in the audience who wish to address the council may come forward.
Up to the podium, please.
Larry Fillmore from Lisbon. I have 3 items tonight, just one. The first one's a comment. After the people of Lisbon spoke on May 8th at the public hearing, why did the council continue to address a wage increase, a lump sum payment, or any other name you want to call it during their workshops? This should have been a dead issue once the people spoke, and to try and deceive the people, in my mind, is irresponsible of this council. That's the comment. The question is, why did Councilor Bowie recommend hiding this wage increase, lump sum payment, or whatever else you want to call it, under the insurance line item? I guess this is why there is a $62,326 dollar increase in the insurance line item. Is that correct?
No, that is not correct. That is not where the increase is from. The wage money that is in the budget is in the appropriate wage lines of each department.
Okay. Why is this $37,600 increase in the retirement line?
Because the retirement formula changed and we have to contribute more through Main State Retirement.
Okay, thank you.
Other audience participation? Dot?
Dorothy Fitzgerald again. Going back to it, or maybe opening up the topic of a town planner, Mr. Eldridge had said in a past council meeting that we already have a town planner. Is that correct?
We have a town planner that we contract on a day-to-day basis or meeting basis for the planning board. When they ask for consultation on items that they would like either education on or guidance on, they bring in a planner.
How many hours has this planner?
I could not answer that question tonight. I can check for you.
And how much has this person been paid?
I'd have to look up the total. I don't have that off the top of
What
my head.
budget is this coming out of? What department, what budget?
Planning board, if I'm not mistaken.
Elected officials.
The planning board doesn't have much of a budget.
It's under the elected officials line.
The town's been working for years with codes, planning, ordinances. Do we have any type of building ordinances? I hate to refer to it, but the building the gym, the monstrosity that the Open Door Bible Church is building, it's out of place. It doesn't fit into the town. It doesn't fit into the neighborhood. I can't imagine any other town allowing something like that. I don't know if that went before the planning board or just before code enforcement. I mean, it just, I don't even know if it meets setback ordinances. That building is huge. It looks like a big tin can. That's my comment. And we wonder why businesses don't want to come here. Okay, going back to the wage increases. Evidently, the town council and the town manager are still planning on giving wage increases to all of the town personnel.
That has not been decided yet.
We are voting on the budget tonight, and yet
You're voting on money that's in the budget, but they have not set any criteria or percentage yet, because we have contract negotiations. We have 4 unions we have to negotiate in good faith.
So if you're negotiating, you must have it in the budget.
We have some funding in the budget. Yes, we do.
For what percent?
I don't know at this point. That's up to the council and the unions to negotiate.
Going back to the last council meeting, Jody mentioned that the number of town reports that has been reduced, that they're ordering. Of the 500 town reports the town audited and received last year, there are still 144 copies in the vault. How do you expect the public to see and know and pick up town reports if they're in the vault? Last year, when the town reports came out, several times I came in, I wanted to pick up one for myself, and there were no town reports out. So I mentioned, oh, they must be in the vault. So you'd go and get out a handful of them. I'd talk to a friend, oh, the town reports are out, I'd give mine to them. I'd come in again for another town report. I'd have to ask. There were hardly ever any town reports out. They should be out. They should be on the front counter, on both ends of the front counter. People paying excise tax, oh, here's a town report, and pick one up. They should be at code enforcement window. They should be on that ledge there where the military is displayed. The town reports should be out so people would know that the town prints and has town reports and can pick them up. Is there any reason the town doesn't want the public to know? I don't know. Performance management. If you hire somebody to do a job and they can't do their job, why are they still here? My first job, when I started working out of the home, after all my kids were in school, local department store, a lot of people here probably don't remember it, Rosenberg's department store.
You're nearing your end, Dot.
I'm what?
You're nearing your end. 5 minutes is almost up.
Okay, I'll go back to the bus service then.
Okay, thank you.
Money has been taken out of the bus service, $9,000. Is that going to be adequate to run the bus service for another year?
We didn't take 9,000 out. We put additional 9,000 in on top of what we were originally paying, which was $25,700. The Department of Transportation called me, and we had originally budgeted $14,000 additional dollars. But they called and said that what we would need for additional funding is 9,000, and that's what we put in, so we reduced it.
So the money that you're budgeting now is including the 9,000 or taking it out?
Including the 9,000.
Including the 9,000.
Additional $9,000.
Well, thank you, because too often the haves forget that there are have-nots that depend on the bus to get to work, to go to appointments, and to do their shopping.
Thank you, Dot. Any other audience participation?
Hi, Steve Warren, Lisbon. You've got an item on the agenda for tonight for the Trail Commission, so I wanted to just address that and be available for comment if you have any questions about it. I want to say that I attended a conference last week put on by the state covering active communities, and it was an excellent presentation that was put on, and they showed the benefits to the community for having active facilities, pedestrian facilities, supporting bicycles and all those types of uses. And it was well attended by the communities that surround us and communities all over the state. And our Trail Commission has the potential of using the energy and the planning of these types of resources to really benefit the community. And it's good to see that we have another volunteer coming forward. And if we are clear that the Trail Commission represents not just recreation, but all types of pedestrian, non-motorized, and public access services, it can be a tremendous advantage to the town. Not everybody sees that and understands the benefit of those things, and in some cases, administrative staff don't support moving in that direction of having the Trail Commission active in those areas. So it would be good to have the council come forward with a clear mandate for the Trail Commission to be involved in not just recreation, but all forms of pedestrian, non-motorized type activity.
Thank you. Any other takers? Okay, next item, Twyla.
Is audience participation response?
There is none tonight.
Okay. The next item would be the consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have an item removed may do so now. Items removed from the consent agenda will be considered next. Seeing none. Order 2012-67 to approve the minutes of May 8th, May 15th, May 22nd, and May 29th.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item, Twyla.
Is under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2012-68, a vitriol's license for Vera Abdullah, doing business as Taste of Little Russia.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0. Next item is Order 2012-69, endorsement and authorization of the CDBG Public Service Grant application.
A motion for that?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All those, any discussion, or are we ready to vote? All those in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
Next item?
Order 2012-70, carry forwards and transfers.
Jessica will address that.
Hello. All of you should have before you a list, a one-page list of potential transfers and carry forwards that we will be looking at for the end of the year. There are no monetary values listed with this. This is under new financial rulings, regulations that we need council consideration for areas that we could potentially look to need to transfer funding and or carry forward funding into the next fiscal year. So what you have before you is just a list of those departments that we'd be looking to do those potential transfers and carries. And unless you have any questions, I mean, I can either try to answer what I can with it.
Mike has a question.
I have a question on
Sure.
your potential carry forwards
Yes,
on the insurance.
yes.
Is that would that help reduce the budget? Are we saying we didn't expend all of our insurance money
What
this
that,
year?
now that we have transitioned to being self-insured,
Self-insured, right.
this, what this will allow, they, typically what they state is that with self-insurance, you average every 4 years, you could go over budget per se. You might have a bad claim year. So what they recommend is that you build your budget based on expected claims, and any savings that you see, you roll forward with that, so that when you incur that hard year, you may not have to increase your rates as significantly as you would if you needed to cover for those large claims.
So you're building an escrow account,
Yes.
basically?
Yep.
Okay.
Other questions?
Need to make a motion, don't they?
Yes, I need a vote that,
This is the stupid rule, right?
it is, because I'll come to you after the,
Thing just
yeah.
saying that we were told we're going to have carry forwards and transfers.
Right, and I'll come to you after year end and with the values and go from there.
I'll make a motion to accept the potential transfers and potential carry forwards.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Order passed, 6-0.
Okay, the next item, Twyla.
The next item is the 2012-2013 municipal adoption. Oh, wait, first we were going to do the
Budget committee.
Budget Advisory Board recommendations. Here, I turned the page too quick. Sorry about that.
Thank you for catching that.
Good evening. John Wiersbicky, Chair of the Board. First off, thanks for remembering us. There's been a lot of discussion about this whole budget. There's been a lot of very interesting dialogue back and forth from the council, from the townspeople. We've had a lot of spirited discussion on the Budget Advisory Board also. And our recommendation on the budget, based on the latest figures that you folks gave us, is we do not recommend approving this budget. With the way the economic situation is nowadays, no one in the town can afford a tax increase. Our recommendation is come up with a way to keep the budget flat from the previous year or reduce it. We just can't afford extra. We do not feel we can justify a any type of increase in the taxes here.
Okay, Mike?
I would ask the advisory board, do you have potential recommendations on where you would make suggestions to make the budget flat based on your review?
We did not discuss that at the last meeting we had. We will have another meeting and come up with those. One idea that was agreed on a while ago was just an overall 10% reduction across all departments. We will come up with more specifics, and we will present them to you at the next meeting if you so desire.
Well, we're going forward with the budget adoption tonight.
Okay.
With the numbers that are presented.
Okay. We do not have specific ones. I think everything is cut as far as it could. If anything, we would recommend a flat 10% reduction off of everything. Everything possible, excuse me. Some things weren't.
We discussed that.
Other questions or comments? Okay. Twyla, next item.
Okay. The next item is Order 2012-71, the 2012-13 municipal budget adoption. Are we ready for the votes?
Okay, we're going to do the police department
Do the police
first.
department? Okay. This is Department 02-200, Police Department, 5100, Personnel Services, $834,756. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Counselor Bickford, seconded by Counselor Ward, for $834,756. This is a roll call vote. Counselor La Rochelle is not here, so Counselor Pomelo,
Yes.
Counselor Lunt,
Yes.
Counselor Bickford,
Yes.
Counselor Mason,
Nay.
Counselor Ward,
Yes.
and Counselor Bowie.
I'll abstain because of the salaries, wages line.
And the motion passes, 4 yeas, 1 nay, and 1 abstention. Police Department, 5200 line, contractual services, $9,869.
So move.
Second.
I'll second it.
This would be a roll call vote. Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
No.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
And Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
5 yeas, 1 nay, order passed. 5300, repair and maintenance, operating supplies, $74,050. Your motion?
So move.
I'll second.
Second. Roll call vote. Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
No.
Order passed, 5-1. 5400, capital purchases, $10,600. Motion?
So move.
I'll second.
Counselor Mason?
No.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
5-1, order passed. 5500 line, lease purchases, $13,857. Is there a
So moved.
motion?
I'll second it.
Roll call vote. Counselor Mason?
No.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
5-1, order passed. Total budget, $943,132. Is there a motion for the whole total, or do you need that?
I don't think that we need that because we separated it
They
out.
put it in a line, okay.
So we need
that-
the $6 million
that's
figure.
passed. Okay, the remaining budget, balance of the budget is $6,418, $418,119. Is there a motion?
So move.
I'll second it.
And do we have to
Do
do
you
roll
want
call?
to do that a roll call vote, or do you want it to be just by show of hands?
I should do a roll
I
call
think
on
that
that.
should be a roll call.
I think it should be too.
Okay,
Yeah.
a roll call vote. Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
No.
Order passed, 5-1. The next motion would be for the economic development.
The next amount is the
Overall.
overall.
Let's do the
7 million.
resolution.
Resolution.
Okay. Be it hereby resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Lisbon as follows, that the municipal budget for the Town of Lisbon for the fiscal year commencing on July 1, 2012, and ending on June 30th, 2013, be and hereby is adopted with a total expenditure of $7,361,251, balanced with a total of $2,814,450 in estimated revenue. A summary of appropriations is attached to this resolution as Exhibit A. A summary of estimated revenues is attached to this resolution as Exhibit B. Would this be a roll call vote, or do you
Yes.
prefer a show of hands? Roll call? Okay.
We need a motion and a second.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Who seconded it?
Roger.
Okay. All right. Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
No.
Order passed, 5-1.
And then the last one for the TIF amendment.
Economic development. Okay, for economic development, line 5100 for personnel services,
No, you can do the
$94,038.
whole
Hey,
thing.
you can do it all together.
Let's just do the whole
The
thing?
whole
thing.
Okay, for a total of $112,413.
Do we have a motion for that?
So move.
I'll second.
Yeah, I want to understand why that's that way.
Yeah, we're separating this out because it's not money that is in the total amount and raised by revenue for taxation.
Right, it's paid
Is
for
that
by
correct?
the Dingley Press TIF.
TIF, that's correct.
Being funded from the TIF.
Thank you.
Will this be a roll call vote as well?
Yes.
Okay. Counselor Bowie?
Yay.
Counselor Ward?
Yes.
Counselor Lunt?
Yes.
Counselor Pomelo?
Yes.
Counselor Bickford?
Yes.
Counselor Mason?
Yes.
Okay, and order passed 6-1.
Okay. And our next item, Twyla.
Is under other business, Cindy Patterson with Safe Voices, Rural Outreach Advocates.
Thank you for your patience. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. My name is Cindy, and I'm the Rural Outreach Advocate for Safe Voices, formerly AWAP. And I wanted to let the town of Lisbon know that I am available on Wednesdays at the Lisbon Adult Ed to serve victims of domestic violence. What we are able to support is 24-hour free confidential helpline, emergency shelter, transitional services to assist residents leaving shelter, and also achieving long-term goals, individual and court advocacy, providing support through the court process, and creation of safety planning, advocacy with child protective services, support groups, community education, youth education, alternatives to abuse programs such as the BIP program, and elder abuse care. So I just wanted to let the town know that I am available. And you can call 795-6073, extension 28, or the free confidential helpline at 1-800-559-2927. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy, do we have material here for the public to pick up in our office?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so
I
that-
also have some as well.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Next item, Twyla.
Is the town manager's report.
I gave you a list of things that we need to start looking at once, now we're done the budget. We have to, in a workshop, oh. Yep, all right.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify with the economic development budget that the reason for the vote is so that even though it is funded by the TIF amendment, that you are approving if the evaluation of that TIF is not at the level that you budget at, that it will be covered by the general fund, which is why it's included in tonight's proposal. I wanted to clarify that it may not be 100% covered by the TIF if the valuation is not at the recommended level.
Don't move. Okay, so when you say covered by the general fund, that becomes a baseline expenditure?
Yes, it's the same as what we did last year, where we had to vote based on what we expect the valuation to be. But should that valuation not come in at the projected value when the assessing office has done their assessments, any overages are covered through the general fund.
So I guess my question is, do we need to vote on the total bottom line of the 7,043,000?
I do not believe so. You did not do that last year.
Okay.
Because I did
Sure,
review, I
because-
did review the minutes from last year when we were under the attorney's advisement of how to handle it, and we did it in the same manner.
Okay.
But I know the comment was made up there that it was covered by the TIF,
Not all
and
covered.
I just want
May
to
not.
clarify that it may not all be covered.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Workshops, we have summer meetings coming up, and if we have small meeting business to do, we can do some of them during our regular Tuesday night's meeting, but I
Taking
gave,
the summer off.
oh, yeah?
We're all working.
I don't think so.
Right.
I think you did that in the month of August, you took some time off, but, the top of the line, top of the list is the budget referendum question, that's a charter change. The chairman said that once we were done the budget, we would start that process. I know our attorney has been working on separating out the different sections of the charter that would have to be changed, so when you get to the workshop, you'll be able to look at that, and we'll bring you some ideas of what other communities have been doing with that, so that will probably be the first one we start. And then there was a question that was brought up about another charter change, that was the Finance Committee versus the Budget Advisory. That's a discussion that I think some of the counselors had asked to have, to kind of expand the advisory board as a budget committee and also have them function as an audit committee as well. So that's open for discussion. We need to finish our visioning and goal-setting sessions that we didn't get to, and also discuss the basic master plan that we'll be looking at on Route 196 and Route 9, and possibly other areas if we have enough funding. And also, part of this has to do with the Route 9 zoning issues we have to talk more about. And I'm in the middle of, I finished the Recreation Department's ordinance updates. Legal counsel has it. Their committee has agreed to move forward with what they have. And so I'll be working on that throughout the summer and getting all the committees up to date and in line. So that will be periodically throughout the summer. Hopefully we can get it done by then. Also, I submitted a grant to the Stephen King Foundation for the MTM building. The request was for $50,000. That's the maximum you can request. The total budget is $114,000 to finish all the windows and the siding. So hopefully we'll be fortunate to receive some funding so we can move forward with some of those things and not take it out of taxpayer funds. Also, just to give you an update on the rainstorm, the 3 or 4 inches that we had. Ferry Road has finally receded. They opened it up today. We have some real damage to one section of that road where we've lost some pavement. Public Works is working on that. As well as Borough Road, we had some damage and some culverts have already been replaced. There's other areas where some of the side shoulders have been washed out, and Public Works is going to get to those. If anybody in the public has areas that have not been addressed, let the Public Works Department know. It'll probably be on their list to get it fixed, but we're trying. There's quite a bit of washout in different areas.
Is there potential for any
Yes.
federal funding for this?
Yep. Yeah, Sean is putting together the list as we speak. He was up to $32,000 this morning when we spoke to it, so he's getting ready to submit the request. So that's all I have. Oh, I wanted to thank Fire Department and Public Works. They were out on Sunday helping, and I think they did a great job helping people get their basements pumped out and getting people moved through town where we had some real serious damage. Thank you.
Okay, next item, Twyla.
Is under appointments, Order 2012-72, Trails Commission appointment.
I just have a operational question, I guess. If we do the appointment before we do the resignation, do we put too many people in the committee?
No, you have openings
Have
already.
openings, okay. Just wanted to ask that question. Go ahead.
So, Trails Commission appointment, I think there's
I
one
make a
application.
motion to appoint Richard Neto.
I'll second that.
And all those in favor? And I see Mr. Netto was here. Where did he go? He's hiding behind Steve.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Order passed 6-0.
Okay, and the next item?
Order 2012-73, Trails Commission, one resignation.
Pauline Mathau has moved into Sabattis, and she has to be a resident to serve on the committee. She's been a very long-term person on this committee. I want to thank her for all that she's done, and also told her that just because she moved out of town, she still works in the town office, and she wants to be a participant, to be able to sit and contribute as a non-member. That would be welcome.
For public meetings, right?
At public meetings, yes.
I'll make a motion to accept her resignation.
I'll second it.
And all those in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
And then next item, please.
Counselor Communications.
I have one. I had the honor of attending the Lisbon High School graduation on Sunday night, and I was very excited about the kids in that class that are going to move forward with their lives. I guess they received quite a few grants and scholarships, and particularly proud of one young man who happens to be here tonight, Dylan Pesky. He was the president of that class, and he done us proud. He did a wonderful job. He was in control the whole time. And myself, Steve, Senator Mason, and Representative Crafts were there. And we were very proud of our young people, and particularly Dylan. So thank you, Lisbon, for producing a great crop of kids. Very proud of all of them. I didn't realize how many of them I knew through their parents. They kept coming, and I was like, I know that one, I know that one, I know that one. So it was,
Rick Green did.
yes, and I have to say, Rick Green is an honorable man. He, the honor system was changed, and the young lady who was the valedictorian had not been chosen to be a speaker at graduation. And of course, she'd worked very hard in changing the program. None of us like change, but through all of that, Rick was designated to speak as a superintendent, and he forego his turn to speak, and he allowed her to speak, and I thought that was very honorable of him. I did call him and thank him for that, and he felt it was the right thing to do, so we should be very thankful we have a man that cares more about the kids than he does about himself. So those of you that maybe just give him a call or send him a thank you note and thank him for that, because it was very touching that he'd take the time to do that. Also, Moxie is in full swing. We have about a month and a half left, and I am looking for volunteers. I have one counselor that's volunteered up to this point. Some are hanging their head, but others in the audience, we need help. We always need help at Moxie, so if you're willing, we have lots of jobs for lots of different events. We have some new things coming this year. The car show is coming back, and of course, the 5K, the parade, the river race, lots of fun things happening. So contact me or Scott or any Twyla through the town office. So it's coming. It's not that far away. That's it.
I can't wait to wear that orange shirt.
I know. It's my favorite. Got a Ferris wheel on it this year.
Any other councilor communications?
I have two brief things. The first thing is, I just want to reiterate my thanks to Cindy Patterson for the work that she's doing. I don't think a lot of people realize how important an organization like Safe Voices is, especially to small towns. During times of difficult economy, more and more people who we would not even recognize that it could happen to will suffer from domestic violence is something that is in every town and every neighborhood, and it's important for us all to keep, to take care of our neighbors in that way, and I really appreciate Cindy's work and the group that she works with, and I'm glad that we have it here for our residents. I also want to make a statement about the library and the idea of having a grant that will help the other people in Lisbon who aren't fortunate enough to have jobs or have jobs that can support them. This is my personal opinion. I was appalled that what I heard was that there are people in Lisbon who don't want to help their neighbors to pull themselves up. I don't think that asking for a grant from tax money that's already paid, that's not going to be reduced if nobody asks for it, I don't think that there's anything wrong with helping others where and when we can and using the resources that are available to us. It's our responsibility as a town to help care for the other people in our town. And I think that it's the right thing to do, so I'm going to advocate for it. And I'm shocked. And I just think that maybe the folks who feel that way just need to think about it a little further. If you still disagree, I respect that, but I just needed to say that because I really, it hurt me that somebody would be unwilling to help another when it really is not any more than reaching out a hand. So that's all I have to say.
Any other councilor communications?
All set.
Go ahead, Mark.
I'd like to say thank you to the Budget Advisory Committee, even if we didn't always see eye to eye with you. I want to thank you for your service and thank you for all the time you put in. And sometimes it doesn't always feel like you're making a difference, but I do appreciate that you were there. I think that goes for all of us. Thank you.
Okay, next item, Twyla.
Yes, executive session. Since council is not here tonight, we're going to do any of that.
We're not going to do the one council
We're going to have
consultation.
one item.
So you do order 2012-74 still?
Yes.
Which is to go into executive session per 1 MRSA Section 405-6D, labor negotiations.
So move.
A second.
Okay, and just for clarification,
There
that
will be no vote.
no vote in that one.
Just discussion.
So we won't come back out with any vote information, so that will be the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
All
Thanks.
those in
I'm sorry?
favor? All those in favor?
All those in favor? So,
On the-
okay, we're going to
okay.
stay.